This is the UK's top cybersecurity official, and this is potentially his worst nightmare. Mythos, Anthropic's new model, which is apparently so powerful they didn't want to release it publicly, giving it instead to a select group of tech companies.
Just the urgency is rising. It's going to be bumpy.
What Mythos does is find bugs in code that were already there, but used to take millions of hours to find. Now, that happens in an instant. And yeah, a lot of people say Mythos is just really like a fancy light show. Sam Altman calls it fear-based marketing. And you know what, I do think some aspects of it are overhyped. But what is probably underhyped is the trend that cybersecurity capacities in AI are on. Because even the government says that this stuff is doubling in capacity every 4 months. And that's happening faster than they anticipated. So, yeah, Mythos, I don't know, but this stuff is really real. And who better to ask about it than the man whose job it is to protect the UK from cyber attacks? How significant is Mythos really?
So I think we're at a significant moment in time. What it's going to mean is where organisations are reliant on technology that they haven't patched, haven't updated with the latest security updates, that will be exposed. Where tech producers are shipping code that is poor quality and has security bugs in it, that will be exposed. And where organisations have old, obsolete technology that can't be updated and can't be patched, that will be exposed.
I mean, would you say that this kind of AI is currently a national security threat, or are we still in the sort of the warning shots phase?
I think we're still in the warning shots phase, and the reason is because we know what needs to be done to be able to defend against these kind of AI models. They're not finding new attacks, they're just exposing more security vulnerabilities.
He's sounding very measured there, but listen carefully to what he's saying. Anyone who hasn't patched, anyone whose code has bugs in it. I mean, if you know tech, you'll know that's a lot of people. And I think that's why Richard Horne says,
for us as a nation, we know what we need to do to be able to defend against the risk today. And in some ways, those defences are no different to the defences we needed yesterday. Just the urgency is rising.
Also, is it true that we know what to do? I asked about that. You say applying updates is really important and you've got this focus on cyber essentials, kind of basically cyber hygiene. But how does that really help if an AI has found a 0-day vulnerability that has compromised the very system that they're updating?
So the vulnerability could give an initial access, but actually a successful cyber attack is a whole string of steps. So it's not just about patching, it's about how you control who can access what systems can access each other, and those kind of things. It's about how you detect successful attacks as they're starting to emerge and are able to stop them. So there's a whole load of steps required in sort of successful security programs. So
although we're expecting that AI will be able to execute that fairly soon, right? Autonomously.
So at the moment, the AI models that we've seen, the evidence that we've seen from the likes of AC and others who have tested these models in ranges, is that they're able to sort of find vulnerabilities and exploit them in an undefended system, an undefended network. So that's very different to being able to exploit them in a network that has some defences.
This point is completely true, by the way, and it often doesn't come up in this Mythos conversation. The AI Security Institute say that their tests lack normal security defences. That's kind of important. And as a result, they cannot say for sure whether Mythos will be able to attack a well-defended system. Now, the National Cybersecurity Centre is part of GCHQ, Britain's spy agency, which Horne is not a politician or a pundit, and yeah, you know, he wasn't one for hot takes. There have been reports that officials in the US are speaking to banks about Mythos. Are those kind of conversations going on in the UK?
So I'm not going to comment on who we're talking to and operational details.
It was the same when I asked him if he'd been talking to Anthropic about Mythos.
I'm not going to get into operational conversations.
And he wasn't keen on questions about where all this is going either.
It's kind of not my role to speculate. We can't predict the future.
The funny thing about this is that NCSC does predict the future. It has a report on the impact of AI in 2027, which says artificial intelligence will almost certainly continue to make elements of cyber intrusion operations more effective and efficient, leading to an increase in the frequency and intensity of cyber threats. There is a realistic possibility of critical systems becoming more vulnerable to advanced threat actors by 2027. And you know, when I asked about China and other adversaries and their access to tech like Mythos, I got this response.
I think the only assumption you can make is that your adversaries have the same technology as you do.
So, in summary, this stuff is getting better very fast. Our adversaries will soon have access to it. There's an awful lot to do, and it's not totally clear whether the message is getting through. I don't think you have to believe that Mythos is like a magic button that you press to execute a hack to think that this is potentially quite worrying.